Definitely grew up super anxious. Like, I always was so scared that like people were gonna abandon me, and I would choose partners that were like emotionally distant because it was the type of love that I was attracting.
Right.
Because I wasn't quite healed, but finally like figured it out. And so that's kind of where I help women now, is with the anxious attachment, moving more into a secure attachment. And I think it starts with.
You're listening to the X Podcast. The X you keep coming back to.
Hey guys, welcome back to the X Podcast. It's your host, Alessia, every single Monday. Today we are in Miami, bitch, and we have a guest. I actually just finished going on her podcast, so we're already warmed up. So introducing Gabby.
Dating coach. I'm also another podcast host, so check out wifey. But yeah.
I feel like we need to just continue on.
Yeah, let's just continue the conversation. If you want a healthy relationship, the thing is, I think even when I was younger, I don't know that I really wanted a healthy relationship. It sounded so boring and like not something that I ever wanted to be a part of. But it was also because it's not something that I grew up seeing.
Right.
And it was like so abnormal to see a healthy relationship. Like I remember going to my, I basically kind of grew up with some friends just because my parents were always working.
Okay.
And one of the friends that I grew up with, her parents were like so in love, like so affectionate, like so all over each other. I'm like, this is weird. Like,
right.
You guys have such a weird dynamic. Don't love it. But I grew up with the idea that like you had to like earn love and like work for love. So that's like what I attracted in my life until I did the healing.
Okay. And what have you done to heal that trauma?
Oh God, so much.
You're like, I'm gonna chime you up.
Let's talk about it.
This episode is an hour, but we can get into
Oh yeah, no. So how much time do we have?
Honestly, to be fair, I think a lot of people are very similar to you in that sense. My best friend, I would always be like, true love exists, and she's like, Alessia, like everyone cheats, like love is not what you think. And then she like came to my house for Christmas, and she was like, I get it now because I saw your parents and like the way they are. Crazy. And I get why you see love and life through that lens. And I get why I see it through the other lens.
Yeah.
And so I think it definitely has a little bit to do with what you've seen growing up.
Right. I think your belief system it starts when you're a child.
Yeah.
So whatever your parents are displaying or whoever's taking care of you, the people around you, is going to have so much of an effect on how you view relationships and love and all of that. So yeah, I mean, we can get into like attachment issues and stuff like that, but definitely grew up super anxious. Like I always was so scared that like people were gonna abandon me, and I would choose partners that were like emotionally distant because it was the type of love that I was attracting, right? Because I wasn't quite healed. But I guess to answer your question on how to do the healing, there's so much that goes into it. I started with therapy, and that just didn't work out for me. I was just like I feel like I'm outsmarting my therapist, and I know more about what's going on than she does. Right. So I stopped going to therapy, and then I was like, okay, it was one bad relationship after the next. And I'm like, I just need to like take a step back, reflect, do some internal healing. I honestly read so many books about it. I think what it really comes down to, especially with the anxious attachment, is being able to gain confidence in yourself that like you are the shit and that like everything is gonna work out fine, and just believe in yourself first. And then being able to self-soothe when you are like thrown off or someone's triggering that like emotional response within you. But being able to self-soothe, I think, is like one of the biggest things that someone can learn, because if you are so reactive emotionally in relationships, you're gonna spiral every time you get into a relationship, or even with your friendships, or in work. Like, it plays out in so many different areas in your life. If you can regulate your emotions and not be so reactive, that's like everything. But yeah, so that's basically the gist of it. But I've done so many things. I've read so many books, podcasts, everything, and finally like figured it out. And so that's kind of where I help women now, is with the anxious attachment, moving more into a secure attachment. And I think it starts with being secure within yourself and then being able to self-soothe.
Yeah. Do you think that you can find yourself in a healthy relationship if you're not confident?
Yeah. But I also think it leaves the door open for a lot of self-sabotaging.
Right.
Because realistically, even if you're healed or if you're not healed, good, bad, toxic, not toxic is all going to come into your life, but it's about what you're willing to accept. And I think I've had so many clients that I've worked with that are in relationships and they're like, Gabby, I'm killing my relationship because I'm not healed and he's treating me like the world and I don't feel like I deserve this kind of love. Yeah. So we work on that internally and like reframing mindsets, and like if you're not healed, like yes, you can be in a relationship, that's great, but at the end of the day, do you really feel like you deserve it? It's so uncomfortable when you're in it. Yeah. So that's why I think it's important to heal outside of it first. Sometimes you can heal within a relationship, but it makes it so much harder because there's so many triggers coming your way.
Right. You're really making me think about this, because even too, like now being in a relationship and having such a good guy, I feel like I've even went through stages where I was like, do I deserve this?
Yeah.
I never said that out loud. And it's crazy when you start to get what you want, you're like, but do I deserve this?
Yeah, like, is it too good to be true?
Is it too good to be true? And then you start self-sabotaging. Yeah. You're like, okay, well, what's wrong with them? Yeah. And that's how I felt at the beginning. I was
fights
like,
and like,
yeah, I'm like, what's wrong with him? Like I'm just always waiting for the ball to drop. I'm like, what is it? This guy cannot be perfect.
Yeah. So has he shown any sign to you that like...
No.
And how does he respond? Do you tell him that you're having these insecurities?
No, I've never... It's because like, the thing is, there's nothing he does to make me feel insecure. Yeah. Like even... I'm going to open up about something. I don't even know if I should be sharing this. I don't even think he wants me to share this. But when we got into the relationship, one of the things that we kind of faced was he was like, I have 2 like girlfriends that I'm like really good friends with, and it's nothing romantic, and like they're just friends. It's nothing. And I was like, okay. I'm like, okay, but to me that's a little bit of a red flag. Yeah. But I was like, okay, were you ever romantic with these friends? Yeah. One of the friends, never romantic. They went on one date. They realized they just vibed, and they're just like honestly friends. And the other one was someone that they actually hooked up in the past, like years ago. Yeah. And now he's like, when it ended. Like I never looked back. I would never see it like that. It's more just like, she doesn't have many friends here, and like we don't even like see each other. We just have like phone calls where she'll like rant about guys, and like when I was single I would rant about like my dates. It was really just that. Okay. And I was like, okay, and like tell me why the relationship didn't work. Yeah. And he was like, well, I was 25 at the time. I'm trying to figure out like who I am, what I want. And she's somebody who was like expecting the world already. And I'm like, okay. And she knew obviously how good of a guy you were. She slept with you. Yeah. And like in my mind, I'm like, okay, not to be like jealous, but I'm like, I don't know, anything that's ever ended for me, like if it was a situationship or a relationship, it just fizzled out. Yeah. Not saying like I'm going to see you out and not be like, hey, how are you? How's everything been? But for me, I don't understand, I guess, the idea of, you know, just like keeping around someone in your life that you were romantically involved with. And now like we're dating now. That makes me feel a type of way. Yeah. And it's not that I think, oh, you're going to go and get back with her. What's her motive behind it? Right. Because I know he's completely done. I know I could sound delusional right now. Like, I think he's done, and it's like, girl, please. Yeah. But like, I feel strongly in that. But for me,
I think we sense that in our guts too, though.
I think like also like, the other girl, I've been on phone calls with her. She's so cool. She's like, let's all hang out. Like it's really that vibe. And with her, it's like, she gives me like the fly out girl. She gives me the wants the rich guy. She honestly like, she gives me who I was before being in this relationship. Okay. So I don't know if it's like shadowing or like mirroring, I guess. Yeah. you know, that. And he always says, like, now she's looking for a nice guy. Now she's looking to build with someone. And in my head, I'm like, okay, but she's keeping you around. She already slept with you. Like, if she's still talking to you every day and is friends, at any point when you hit the jackpot, you make a lot of money. That was the one thing she was missing that she wanted. And she wanted everything. The guy with the six pack, the guy, everything. And then that was the one thing that he couldn't do at the time. That now, like, what? You're going to keep her in your life, and then what? You're going to grow, build, and then don't tell me she's not going to come knocking back.
100%
okay, so you agree with me.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Because why keep that relationship open?
I'm a girl. I don't keep guy friends around.
For what? Like,
but then do you think that there's some girls that have guy friends and it's really not even sexual?
So I have, like, two sides to
this. I can't believe I'm talking about this.
No,
he's gonna hate that I think this.
Sorry.
Whatever it's like.
So I think it's almost good that he has hooked up with her and decided that, like, it's not for him.
Yeah.
Because he's got it out of his system. He knows what to expect. He's done with it.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, having that, like, mystery of not hooking up yet, but then still being friends. It's like, who's waiting for something to happen?
1,000%. Like I always say, sometimes it's better they hooked up, they saw it through, than never have hooked up.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's always like a coulda, woulda, wanted to, and it's always, there's always like that sexual tension.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm telling you, like, it's really not like that. And I'm like, I hear you, but for me, I'm thinking, like, from a girl's perspective, like, why keep around a guy that you fucked and you're no longer interested in, unless you're like always thinking about wanting to go back.
Yeah.
And also the way it ended, he was like, they did a trip together and he was like, I saw things that I just like wasn't.
Well, if he's turned off by it, regardless of what she does, it doesn't really matter because he's made his decision, right?
Oh, for sure. And I think it's just more like, I think when a girl doesn't like the idea of another girl, it's more just the idea of feeling like an idiot.
Yeah.
Like her thinking that like she can still have him when I know she can't, but it's just like keeping that door kind of open. Like, I don't like to feel that way, but how come I don't feel that way with the other girl?
Yeah.
Because they never had sex, and there could have been that, like...
Yeah, but they decided early on that it wasn't that.
Yeah.
But I do...
I'm asking you, coach.
I do, you know... I mean, I think every situation is a little different, and if you feel like you're experiencing some kind of weird vibes from her, then there probably is something that she's like, she has a motive at the end of the day, right? But I also, like, I don't know the dynamics, so it's kind of hard for me to speak on it, because it could just be like, okay, another girl is coming into his life, and I think it does get really tricky too with,
because she's like, also like, I'm losing him type.
Yeah, like you're losing a friend just in general.
Yeah, and that I get. And I told him, I was like, I never want to be the girl to be like, and you can't talk to her.
Right.
That's not how I roll. I don't want you to like hate me because I'm like, don't talk to her anymore. And he was like, look, we're having this conversation. I hear you. I'm like, it's like me saying I have a guy that I fucked that we're still friends and we chat on the phone. Like, he's like, yeah, like I wouldn't be okay with that. And I was like, well, you can see how from my perspective, like, even if your motives are never to hook up with this girl again and you don't see her in that light, like, for me, I'm like, well, I don't know if it's, you know, like, from my perspective, it's kind of like... I feel
like we understand women, and men
and that's
don't.
What I always tell him. I'm like, I understand women, like, differently than you do. Like, guys are so fucking naive sometimes. So it's dumb. Like, I don't see it anymore, but it's like...
No, like, we're so complex, and, like, there's layers to it. But I do think, honestly, when you are in the relationship for long enough, naturally things will start to like fizzle out.
And that's what I said. I was like, don't tell her like you can't speak to her anymore. I think naturally, like, being in the relationship, it'll fade. But then she pulled some shit, like she answered his story like rolling eyes because like she called him and he didn't answer. And then she's putting like rolling eyes to the thing, and then she like they spoke on the phone and he was like, hey, sorry, like I've just been busy, like I'm dating someone now. And she was like, what? Like she doesn't want us to talk anymore. And like that just energy is giving me like
she's trying to like
you almost like want what you don't have, and now that you don't have him, you almost realize what he was, and now you're like, fuck, did I just miss out? Or maybe she thought eventually they'd always get back. I don't know. Or it could really just be a friend. I don't want to like start bringing my jealousy like, hold on. jealousy into the reason why I'm like,
but I feel like
that way.
That behavior, if she was coming at it from like a really healthy perspective, if I had a guy friend that I like called all the time and he was in a relationship, I would respectfully fall back a little bit.
100%.
Like, yeah, we'll still chat here and there, but like respectfully, I'm not going to be calling you all the time. Like, as a woman, I feel like you have to know your place and know that there's boundaries. The fact that she's even trying to put holes into what you have, like, oh, she doesn't want us to talk, immediately she's like blaming you. And she's like trying to get into his head of like, okay, like, oh, maybe you're the problem, you know?
Yeah.
When you haven't done anything.
I haven't done anything. And I was even like, and then he was like, I kind of had to tell her on the phone, like, look, you know, like, he's like, I didn't want to throw you under the bus, like, at all. But I wanted her to know that, like, look, I'm in a relationship now. And, like, yeah. Like,
you gotta be respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but then it sucks because I'm like, well, I don't want you to not talk to her anymore because of me. It's such a weird, but he was really like, in the past, if I would have had that conversation with anyone else, it would have been very
different.
It would have been like, what are you talking about? Gaslighting. And it's like, I hear you. I understand you. And like, I want to make sure you're comfortable in this. And I don't want to do anything to upset you. And if that bothers you, then I'll end it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's healthy.
That's so healthy.
But then I'm also like, why did I have to tell you to end it?
Toxic you coming in. Just like, wait a minute.
Okay, I wanted to get your take on that. That's
yeah, no, I think honestly it's gonna fizzle out if you guys are together long enough. I feel like naturally that's just the progression of what happens. I had a friend actually who, same situation actually, and they're now together for like 5 years plus, and the girl that he was friends with, they don't talk anymore.
Right. I think things naturally do fizzle out. And look, if I met her and I saw she was chill and I would see the vibes. No, I never met her.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like.
This makes it tough.
You know, it might be different if the case, you know, but.
Have you met the other girl?
I have not, but I'm always on like FaceTime with her and we're like chatting and like it's just like.
A vibe.
It's just, you could tell.
Yeah.
With her, it just seems a little more.
Like fishy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, trust your intuition. You know.
100%.
But if he
made me
he's
feel
making
like,
you feel comfortable. So at the end of the day, who cares about her?
Yeah.
It's gonna naturally take its course.
Yeah.
And
I'm making a problem out of something that's not a problem.
Right.
I just wanted to get
self-sabotage.
No, I just wanted to get your opinion on it to realize that I have every fucking right. What do you think is a big mistake people do while dating?
Oh my God, there's so many. For women specifically,
or men, if you can give both.
Okay,
we can talk about women.
Let's talk about women.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the biggest is like attaching and clinging on too quickly.
Ooh.
Like claiming him too quickly, like this is mine, and like he's not allowed to do anything, and then being so in his energy that it's suffocating. But I feel like that also goes along with like an anxious attachment. Is you want to have this codependent relationship that he's not even prepared for yet. And if you're attaching yourself to him and like always making plans with him and like always in his face, always texting him, like it's going to get tiring. Mm-hmm. And I think with...
Do you think that even with the right guy, that would still be the case?
I think there's difference. There's different levels to this. Okay. If you're always with someone and you guys just hit it off and everything's great and things are progressing naturally, fine, good. But if you are on the other side of that where you're the one pushing it along and he's not doing very much to give back, and it's not an equal reciprocation, that's where it gets like tricky, right? Because you're the only one pouring in to make it work. So obviously things aren't, a lopsided relationship is going to fail. Right. But if you're both on the same page about it, it can work, right? But there also has to be consistency over a period of time. I think so many people get trapped in that 2 week to 2 month mark where they're talking to someone all the time. They're always in their energy and it's back and forth. It's very reciprocal. And then they get dropped out of nowhere and they're like, wait, what happened? Yeah. Because it became way too serious, way too quickly. And maybe he just didn't have the intentions fully of committing, or it scared him, or whatever the case is. But you're protecting yourself when you're taking it like one step at a time. Right. But, you know, if it is reciprocal, see where it goes. You can lead with an open heart, knowing that there's a potential that this might not go the way that you want it to go.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you when you said, you know, you don't want to put too much of your energy into one person. Do you believe when dating that you should put all your eggs in one basket?
God, no.
Or do you think that you should really date around, even if you're more interested in someone, you should really play the field?
I think it depends on you as a person. I think the more you know yourself as a person, it's better, because if you know that you're an anxious dater and you're going out and you're attaching yourself to one guy and he becomes your world, he becomes your everything, and you forget about your friends, you forget about your life, then you're doing dating wrong. Like, that's not how it should be. Like, you should have your own life. You should have your own things going on. If you can invest in one relationship with one guy and it work for you and that's all you have the capacity for, then fine. Mm-hmm. But I think it's very beneficial for an anxious attacher to keep their options open and like date around and like play the field, because it prevents you from diving into one person too quickly.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I think it just depends on like who you are as a person.
Yeah. And going back to what you said about, putting all your energy into one person, do you believe that, because I think women in general could be a little bit more needy in terms of like when we're interested in someone, like we think about it all day.
Yeah.
Do you think that a guy should like a girl more than
oh my God, yes.
a girl likes a guy?
I will die on this hill 100%. I think a guy needs to like the girl more, because, and I've heard it from the opposite perspective, but there's no like real facts.
What's the opposite perspective?
I don't know. I don't understand it. I think it's a man's way of saying like, oh, I want to be the center of attention. I'm the prize. Like, I'm the woman in the relationship.
Right. Or they feel like they don't want to feel like their girl loves them any less than they love them.
Yeah. And I think a lot of guys have gotten like hurt or jaded from the past of like, oh, well, I gave this girl the world and she took advantage of me. Well, then you gave the wrong girl your love. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that
like you shouldn't be jaded in your next relationship.
Like, not everyone's going to be the same.
Yeah.
But I think, so I don't understand it from the other perspective, other than the fact of like the guy wanting to be the prize in the relationship and being way too much in his feminine energy.
If a guy wants to be the prize?
No, like, bye.
like, ew.
I'm the prize.
Always.
Period. We can end it.
Done, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
No, but I think the guy has to love the woman more, because what we have to realize is like, as women, we were raised internally that like our emotions, our nurturing selves, like we're very much emotionally involved in relationships, and like that's a lot of our focus a lot of the time. So for a man, they're wired differently. We're very different as humans, so they're very mission driven, and you have to realize that you're never going to be, especially with like a high value man, like you're never going to be the main focus in his life. So with that being said, if a man doesn't love you more, it's always going to be about himself, his life. He's never going to have like the want or need to keep it going. And I think that if you are in a relationship where you're always the one giving into the relationship, obviously it's going to fail, but he's always going to think like, oh, I could do better. And he'll
never respect you.
He's never going to respect you.
The more you take time on yourself, the more someone comes into your life and will respect you.
100%.
But if you put all your focus into someone, they're going to put all their focus into them.
Yeah. But men are naturally hunters. So if you're doing all the work, he's going to fall back. And it's like, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be a challenge for him. Like, you're throwing yourself at him for what, Yeah. And I think I used to get so caught up in that. Like I'm just like naturally like want to like explore and like put myself out there and like be the one to make the first move. But I think it always put me in situations where the guy didn't feel like he really had to try that hard to keep me around. And I'm like, I learned the hard way, but so now I'm like, I'm going to fall back. If you want to be in my life, you're going to make it happen. And I think though, people get mixed up. Like women, there are certain women that don't try at all, don't express any interest. There's nothing. So, and then there's women that throw themselves out. And I think that's the woman that needs to take a step back. The woman that's not showing any interest, like you have to express to a guy that you're interested.
Right.
To keep it going, obviously. Right. Or else he's gonna, like a high value man is gonna fall back if you don't show any interest at all. Yeah.
What do you think high value men are looking for?
High value woman.
What is a high value woman?
So I would think it would be someone who's emotionally intelligent, someone who is nurturing and supportive of their partner and their mission, and like, you know, just willing to like put it all, like make it work. I think way too many women just expect the world and aren't really willing to give anything.
I agree with that.
Like, and we kind of talked about this a little bit in my podcast, but
yes,
I just feel like the expectations have gone, and that's like one of guys' biggest complaints in dating is like, oh, like girls want the world and blah, blah, blah. And especially dating.
They expect all of this. I think, honestly, my take on this is, okay, should a man love a woman more than a woman loves a man? At the beginning, when chasing, yes. Mm-hmm. In the relationship, I think it can fluctuate, but I think overall it's more 50-50. Like, you love each other equally. You both chose to be together. You're both choosing each other every day. Yeah. It goes back to what we said on your podcast about really, you can expect the world, but I think it's the idea of like wanting everything right away. Yeah. And I think sometimes in life, we do have to sacrifice in order to get what we want. And like, look, ideally, you're never going to find a guy who's your age, ripped, good looking, that you're interested in, that's going to have everything, unless he came from money, unless, which is like 0.001%.
You're always going to be sacrificing something.
Yes.
There's no one is perfect. You're always going to sacrifice something.
Exactly. And I think where the problem is that a lot of women aren't willing to like go through that with their partner. Like they want the trips, they want everything right away, instead of like kind of like backing their man and kind of like being there as like a support through it all.
Yeah.
And it's also like we're always talking about like, but like I'm in my nurturing self, like I'm gonna have kids.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, but you don't have kids right now. Like it's fine to like, I'm sure every guy, and I don't know, this is how I think every guy would love to be a provider and take full care of his woman. Mm-hmm. I don't think that every guy today can, but I think that's where a lot of anger comes from, like men.
100%,
it's like they're like angry because they can't do it, and then women's expectations just go higher and higher and higher.
Women
and
are like out earning
but like,
too.
So women are also out earning.
So it's like, why would you need a man if he can't even do what he's supposed to do?
Exactly. So I understand where the kind of issues lay, but I think also it's like woman kind of being like, well, I'm gonna have your baby, like why do I need to work? But like we're talking dating stage. You don't have a baby right now. Like you should always have things that you're passionate about, things that you know keep you busy, to not put your full focus on this man, so that if he leaves you at any point, you still are you still have the things going on in your life, you still have your friends, like you still have your foundation. And I
just recently saw a TikTok about this girl talking about how she saw another TikTok about this lady in her like later years, like 80s, 90s or whatever, talking about how she's like, if there's one piece of advice that I can give these younger girls, is like, I always thought that I would be happy when this happened, or I would be happy when this happened. It's like, you have to be happy where you're at right now, because life is going to pass you by so quickly that if you're not happy and content with your life, you're never going to be happy when you get that one thing.
I full-heartedly agree with that. And that's also another reason why I always said I'm going to date a guy who's older, because I always thought I had to be with a guy who made it, so that he would be fully open to like allowing someone in. Because a lot of times guys are like jaded until I make X amount of money, I don't want to like open myself up to a girl. And it's like, do you know how hot it is when a guy hasn't reached all of that and he's still open to having a woman be in his corner, because he knows the actual like value of a woman before even making it big? That's fucking sexy. You know, it's like being happy with where he is while working towards what he wants. That's fucking sexy. Not a guy that you have to wait for. And I used to think this, like, I need to date a guy who's like 35 and has all his shit together, so he'd be open to that. Truthfully, in those relationships, normally you feel more insecure because you didn't grow with someone, so you don't feel as like attached to them. It's a lot more like you feel like they can drop you at any second. And I don't know, I think that more women should be open to growing
with someone. 100%. I think the guys that are older, that are like established and also single, it's like
they're stuck in their ways too.
They're so stuck in their ways, and they're like, if they didn't want to grow with a woman either, like, when is it ever going to be good enough? Like, I don't feel like anything's ever good enough for them, because they waited so long, and now what? No, like, they're settling down later in life, okay, whatever, because he wanted to make it so that he felt comfortable. But like, when is that ever good enough? When is comfortable ever good enough?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
so like if he feels that way with his money, why why would he settle for just one girl, like when he can have his pick? And is that girl even good enough? Exactly. Is the next girl even, like, maybe I settled too soon and didn't pick the right person. There's more things that come along with it, whereas a guy who's still building himself and is like steady enough to like maintain a relationship and is open to having a woman in his life, the right woman is going to take him way further than he could ever take himself. Yeah. Because just the support alone and like the emotional, like just being able to like be himself and not have to worry and wonder about this girl or that girl, whatever.
I remember we were at dinner and he's like my boyfriend was like, you're taking a gamble on me. He's like, well, it's never for sure that it's going to work out. And I'm like, no, it is. And it's just, and like sometimes guys just need to hear that. They need to just hear like, no, it is going to work out. Yeah. And it's like, shit, like.
No, guys, this is one thing that I really have learned is like when you hype them up, there's nothing that feels better. No. Like when you believe in them, they will go so much harder. Like my guy that I was talking to before.
Which we'll get into. I want to get into your dating life now. I gave you so much tea on my life. Now I'm like, your turn.
Okay, no. So the guy that I was talking to before, like, it was like the same conversation. He was like, he's like, yeah, if if that's my plan, like if I make it, I'm like, you're gonna make it. Like you are so driven and determined. You have so many things going on in your life and you still manage to like stay up late and like actually like work on your stuff. You're putting out like what you need to do. So I believe in it so hard. And he's like, me saying that, his smile, like I'm like, oh, I want to like, it's so sweet. So like hype your man up. Like he will go so much further in life and it'll benefit both of you.
100%.
Sometimes you have to be the one to like put yourself out there and be like, we got this. This is good. Like, let's keep this moving.
I also think as a society, we think like hyping our man up also means that we need to be like the girls that like sit down and just watch our man like succeed. And it's really like, you could do both. Hello, we're in 2025. You can hype your man up and still fucking run your own business. Like you don't have to have just one. It can't just be like, I don't know.
I think too, like I used to be this girl that I was like, just like, ugh, with men and didn't want them to like feel good about themselves. If that makes sense. Like I was just like,
you didn't want to hype them up.
I didn't want to hype them up. I was like, you can do that on your own. Like you need to be hyping me up. And I think way too many women do have that mentality. Yeah. But I think you get more. I've realized you get so much more. You go so much further in life when you're giving out love and they will return it in tenfolds. Yeah. Like I learned that the hard. I'm so stubborn too. Like
that's
I'm like
such a good point, Gabby.
No, it's actually like
because when they feel loved and they feel like you're 100% in, they will give you everything.
But I also think in friendships too. I've learned that the hard way. That my best friend that I have now, I think we started off like, I mean, we've always been really good friends, but at first we had this like tiff that like we would try to like one up each other, and I'm like, ew, this is gross. We went a year without talking, and then we got back together like as healed versions of ourselves, and I'm like, I'm just showing her so much love and respect, and then she like let her guard down, and then she started like giving me love back. I'm like, this is like, you need to put yourself out there in vulnerable situations and just like be the first person to like express like love and gratitude towards people.
I know we talk a lot about obviously, relationships, but relationships come in different forms. Yeah. And I think friendship breakups can also be sometimes so much harder than a fucking guy.
No,
like
actually the worst.
I think friendship breakups are so much worse than a guy breakup.
So I recently went through a friendship breakup and it was tough because honestly, I just don't really feel like our lives were aligning anymore. And I think sometimes you have to accept that not everyone is supposed to be in your life forever. People are going to outgrow different things. You want different things out of life. And it was good for the moment that I had this person in my life because we did so much together. We experienced so much together. It was very fresh and new when I like moved to Dubai. And so I was happy and thankful to have someone there. But I think the reality is that I think our lives just weren't aligning anymore. And like,
and who's to say you guys won't
rekindle
down the line?
Okay, sure, I'm open to it. There was nothing wrong, but I was just like, I just don't feel like I need to be as close to this person as I once was.
Yeah, I think we go through different phases in life. And also, I have friendships that I cannot talk to them for a year, and then we could catch up like nothing ever happened.
Isn't that the best, though?
It's the best because I need friendships that aren't high maintenance.
Yeah.
Because it's like everyone has their life going on. Everyone has different things going on. And like if you hold this friendship to like needing to see them all the time and it's like that angerness and bitterness, like it's not going to work for me. I need low maintenance friends. And I saw a TikTok about this, like needing low maintenance friendships. And I get it. Like everyone's lives
get to life.
Yeah, everyone's lives get busier and you're not always going to be going through the same stage. And knowing that, you know, you still have this person in your life, they still care for you, but, you know, not expecting much out of them, you get so much more in return.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, so I went through a really, like, big friendship breakup. I had a group of, like, 6 girls from growing up ever since we were, like, 7 years old. And it was within, like, the last couple of years, I was just like, this isn't benefiting me anymore to, like, have these people so close in my life. So
and it's hard sometimes because you're like, hard. I grew up with them. Am I really gonna let this friendship go? That we've been friends since 7 years old? Sometimes
and that's the reality of it. Like it was so hard to like accept that.
Yeah,
I was like, I really like toying with the idea. I'm like, I need to like take a step back in this friendship dynamic because where is this really getting me to where I want to go? Like, yes, I want to have some kind of connection to them and relation to them. We've grown up together. We know everything about like our history, but so many people stay in relationships, friendships that aren't serving them anymore just because they've known this person their whole life.
Yeah.
So I had to like accept that. That was really, really hard.
And how do you know when to end it?
I don't even think you need to end it. It's like misplacing someone in your life.
Right.
Like there's friends that like it's who you're giving your most time to is the top like people that you're around is what you're going to be. So if you have goals and you have places that you want to get to, you need to be surrounding yourself with the right people. And if you're not, then you're never going to get to where you want to go. So I think it's just, okay, these people are great and there's nothing wrong with them. Mm-hmm. We're still cool, but it's the fact of, I don't need to be giving you every moment of every day. We're texting constantly in a group chat. I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I need to take a step away because there's places that I want to go to that this relationship isn't serving me to get to.
And sometimes in that friendship, it'll kind of feel like judgment in that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Or like you're almost delusional for expecting or wanting that.
Yeah.
When internally it's just like jealousy of like them wanting to be what you're doing, but them just never having the guts.
Yeah.
And so it comes out in ways that
I always felt like passively aggressive. Like, and I'm like, why can't you guys just be happy? But I think like it starts with if that person's
anger
not
towards
even
themselves.
Yeah. This is my hot take actually on friendships. I don't think you can be friends with someone who's not happy within their own lives. Like if you're completely miserable, there's no way that you can be happy for someone else. And if you really value someone else, it's really hard to be happy for that other person if you're not like happy in your own self.
I agree with that. I think the same goes for in a relationship.
1,000%. A man will take what he doesn't have. So if he lacks confidence, he's going to take all your confidence and make you feel like the most insecure person in the world. If he lacks, whatever it is, he's going to take it from you.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Wow. Preach.
Preach,
sister. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about what we should have spoken at the beginning of the episode,
but
because we've been filming yours, because we've been filming yours and now going to mine, it's like we kind of started everywhere. But so you are originally from where?
New York, technically, but I claim Florida.
Okay.
I say that I'm from Miami, but I'm actually not from Miami. I lived in Orlando for like 4 years. I went to college there.
Okay.
And I had a boyfriend from like high school, and that lasted like 2 years, and that was like the love of my life. Like I loved him so much.
Still to this day.
But I literally texted him the other day. I texted him a song. I'm like, oh my God, this song is so you. And he's like, it's so funny. I've been dancing to this nonstop.
Oh my God.
So we're friends, but it's like the last time I saw him was like when I visited Orlando, and we ran into each other out, and we had a whole conversation about like soulmates. And we talked about this actually on my podcast, but I was like, I just feel like you were like my soulmate and like one of my soulmates. And I'm like, I don't even want you like that, but I just am so thankful that you were in my life and you taught me so much and we're so grown now. And it's just like nice to have like a normal conversation with you. Wow. But yeah, like we're honestly just cool. We check in on each other every birthday.
Very cute.
And then that's it. But honestly, if he's like in like something, I probably wouldn't reach out.
But I mean,
to
if
him.
it's so little and it's just like,
it's minimal, it's very minimal.
The thing is, it's always hard. Like every situation is different, dependent on, you know, so much.
Like, okay, so ended really bad, but
it's been so long that like time heals all. Honestly, time heals all. Okay, so you went from Orlando to Miami.
Yeah, but so after that relationship, I ended up in another relationship that was.
Were you like a serial dater?
Definitely not. No.
Okay.
I took like time.
Okay.
These were my only 2 relationships that I've ever had, but it was like a year or 2 had passed, and then I got into this one, and then we broke up after 2 years. That was so toxic, and I was like, okay, I need to leave, or else I'm gonna keep falling back with this crazy person.
Yeah.
And so I moved to Miami. It was like, that was like the final straw that I needed to like get up and go. And also COVID happened, everything went remote, and I'm like, this is my time to get out.
Yeah.
So I moved to Miami. I dated a little bit in Miami.
And then what made you kind of jump to Dubai?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I think life happens in really weird ways. I was not trying to move to Dubai at all. I was actually trying to move to London, and for a year it just was not working out. And I finally like.
What do you mean by it wasn't working out?
It's so hard to get sponsored there. Right. The visa was just really hard to get, and
in Dubai it's easy.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know, I was going on dates there, and I'm like, I'm gonna end up in London. This is my place, and I was trying so hard. In every job, I had so many job interviews that like I was praying that they would sponsor me, and they just would not. They're like, no, we cannot. It's like way too expensive. It doesn't make sense.
Like they can technically find someone there to do the job.
So I finally was like, okay, if it's not London, I'm open to wherever it is, just not America. I have to get out.
You wanted change.
I needed change. Okay. And as soon as I did that, I'm not even joking. As soon as I did that, it was like a week later, I got a phone call from one of the companies that I interviewed with in London, and he was like, hey, we're not going to be able to sponsor you in London right now, but if you want to start off in Dubai, we can, you know, like try to work something out here. And within a week I was on a plane and like flying to Dubai,
and that was like your one time when you were going to live there. Like the luggage you went with is what
I just
wow. And what was the job?
It was recruiting. I stayed for a month, and I'm like, what am I doing here? This doesn't make any sense. And I also have my own like my coaching business that like also was doing well on podcasting or whatever. Yeah. So I just quit. I was just like I looked it up online. I'm like, actually I can sponsor myself. Like I could do this. And so that day I walked in, I wasn't even trying to quit, but I like talked to my boss, and I was like, I don't like it here. I gotta go. Yeah. And he's like, okay, no worries. And
okay, so how long ago did you quit?
Oh, no, it's been like 5 months ago.
Okay, so 5 months ago, and you're still in Dubai though.
Yeah.
And now you're just coming down for the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I love it. I love that we connected, and now we're going to be friends. This is great.
I remember. Okay, actually, wait, confession time.
Yes.
So I actually listened to you guys like back in the day. Okay. And I was like, I love them. Like, I want to be friends with them. Aww. And I want to be on their podcast one day.
Oh my God.
No, this was before I was even podcasting.
Wow.
And then, yeah, obviously. And then I got a message from you. I'm like, that's actually so weird. When I came back to Miami, I'm like, let me message her. Yeah. I doubt she's in Miami still.
Crazy how life works.
It was so weird.
Oh my God. And now, like, do you mind talking about, like, what does an apartment go for in Dubai? Like,
it's so cheap. Like compared to Miami, it's like half.
So it's like what, 1,008, 2,000 a month?
1,008.
1,008 for like a one bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I wanted a studio, I could probably pay like 1,000.
That's crazy.
It's so crazy. And people don't talk about how inexpensive it is. Like everyone's like, oh, Dubai is so expensive. Like I can't even afford to live there. Dubai as a woman, you get everything for free. Like there's groups that you can join that if you want to like go out to dinner, like a nice 5-star restaurant.
Like promoter style?
No, but so that's the thing. That's the difference between Miami and Dubai. Is like Miami's like you have to be with the promoter, and it's like there's this guy at the table, and it's
this
like this
fucking
whole
guy
thing.
you can't even look at. You're like, get out of my face.
Literally, it's all you have to do. Like
you feel like a pimp, even
yeah,
though you're
you
just
feel
there
like
for
a
the
pimp.
food.
like you're pimped out. And no, but in Dubai, it's literally just for the girls. Like you sign up, all you have to do is like post that you're there, and then like it's so crazy. Or like leave a review. Like that's it.
Okay.
It's so like if I wanted to like really coast, I could coast without a man. Like, but I mean, I don't really use it as much as I should. But
yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, like clubs, events, anything that you want, like you can basically get for free.
Wow.
It's so good. And then the food, like honestly, even just ordering a meal to my house, it's like less than $10 with the delivery, with the tip, with everything.
Insane. And how's dating in Dubai?
I don't know. It's tough.
It's tough.
Like, okay, I think it's tough because it's like what we spoke about before. It's the guys that really do have a lot of money. Like, yeah. And I feel like Miami, it's like, oh yeah, I have a lot of money, but like
Miami's like fake money.
Fake everything. No,
once you go to Dubai,
rented car, fake Rolex.
Once you go to Dubai, you're like, what is life?
What is life? And then it's like, but then they also complain so much about gold diggers. So I'm like, I don't know. It is hard to date because you're trying to find like a genuine connection in a place that's not as it's like Miami.
Yeah.
It is like dating is very much like Miami, but I think it's broader because there's people coming from all over the world. Mm-hmm. Whereas, I mean, Miami has that, but it's not as common. Right. It's just like a lot of Americans.
And
obviously.
like a lot of, people for tax reasons go there, right? They save a lot of taxes. So you're going to get the richest people that are there.
Everyone is a businessman. Everyone has a business.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is my ideal place.
Yeah.
It is.
And like,
good.
do you use dating apps there? Because I know dating apps are kind of like forbidden there. It's hard. Like, I know some
are. Some aren't.
Like what? What works there?
So I started off using Hinge just because I was just trying to meet people.
Yeah,
honestly, I was
new
to a city. Like I just didn't care who I was meeting, and I actually ended up meeting someone that was really great, but I decided he wasn't really great.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, the dating apps, I just feel like it's the same people. It's the same kind of people.
Right.
Like they're not really looking for commitment. It's just like a fun thing. A lot of people are coming in from out of town, so it's not a lot of people that even live there. That's like the first question I always ask. I'm like, do you even live here? Like, I don't even want to waste my time.
You're so looking for your British guy in Dubai.
No, there's
to be like, marry me
everywhere.
so that we can go back to London.
No, but I'm done with London. I'm actually done with the British men. I'm over it.
Okay.
I'm more a Middle Eastern girl now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel like Middle Eastern treat you?
Oh, it's
that Miami guys could never.
No, like
give me
a world of difference.
Okay, give me an example. Like you're going on a date.
Okay, so for example, honestly, I just feel very taken care of and safe, and like I don't have to worry about anything. And it's not even just like monetary. It's just like their presence is like I'm going to protect and like provide for you, even if I don't have a dime in my pocket. Like it's like. It's woman is gold, like let me value and protect. They see their value. So I think that's why I just like gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
Just because of how like they treat women. And I'm like,
do you feel like it's like women are gold, but also I want many women? Do you get that vibe too?
Yeah, that's another thing you have to watch out for.
That's the downfall.
That's
so
the
it's
downfall.
Like, women are gold, but I like 18 karat and I like every type of fucking gold.
I guess the difference. So I was dating the guy that I was just talking about, and we talked for like a month and a half, and I just realized I'm like, okay, I actually don't think he's that serious, but I had something wrong with my car, and he like took care of everything, like paid for my car to get fixed. Like I didn't have to do anything. He just took care of it, and like we weren't even that serious. We're not in a relationship. I was not expecting that.
Right.
He's like, I'll just take care of it. You don't have to think. I'm like, when I can shut my brain off around a guy,
sexiest thing ever,
the best.
Like, so you don't want to think.
Yeah, but I feel like men here just like force you to think.
Yeah. In Miami, you gotta hope if you're going on a date that they're gonna offer the Uber. Where there, it's like you're never even like getting ready, doing your makeup, thinking they've already it's not even a question. It's not even a question.
Honestly, well, the Uber, but I think they pick you up more often than not.
Yeah.
I think low key they want you to see their car.
Yeah, 100%.
But I've never had to like ask someone to pick me up or like send me a car. It's assumed already like that it's just gonna happen. He's like, okay, where do you live? I'll pick you up at this time.
Do they like send gifts on first dates?
No, I've never gotten that.
Okay.
No, yeah. I mean, there's definitely happens, but I'm not like, those aren't the type of people that I typically go for.
No, I was just asking because it's like the kind of idea people think of when they think of Dubai is like Dubai bling, like, or, you know,
it's normal people. Like, I feel like,
it's
a lot of British people, a lot of like, you know, European, Eastern European, like it's just everything, Middle Eastern, everything is just thrown into Dubai. There's only like, I think it's like 15% of people that are actually locals.
Wow.
That have that passport. Like everyone else is an expat. So it's so diverse. I love it. I'm like, you just never know what you're going to get.
Wow. So you see yourself like staying in Dubai long term. Do you ever feel like the I guess the time difference and also being far away?
So hard. Yeah. It's like, well, most of my clients are in America, so that makes it tough. Yeah. I'm like working late hours and whatever, but it is hard. And especially like talking to my friends and family, I always say that I feel like a stay-at-home wife that's like waiting for her kids and her husband to get home from work. Like I'm waiting for to talk to my family and friends. I'm like waiting at home, like waiting for them to wake up. But yeah, it is hard, but I just love it, and I feel like I'm in my own little bubble, and I just think it's part of my journey and my growth.
Do you think that your husband is there?
Probably.
And if you would meet, let's say, your husband this weekend in Miami, would you consider would you come back? Like I know you asked me in your podcast, like if he had a big kind of say in why I was moving in this direction.
I think honestly, I would. Where I'm at right now, I mean, I just moved to Dubai, so I'm not like looking to move anytime soon. I think maybe like a year to a year and a half, or maybe like a year to 2 years, that I would stay in there and like be okay with that. But I think if the right guy was somewhere else, I'm very open about location. I'm not like so tied to Dubai that I have to be there. Yeah. But it is convenient, and I like living there. But if someone was like, oh, I have to move to this place, I'd be like, okay, like let's go. Like why not? But yeah, for right now, I feel like I'm pretty settled in. So
what do you think the biggest difference between like America versus?
Oh God, there's so many differences.
Name me like 3.
Okay.
Obviously the men.
People in general. I think just the people in general. It was like a culture shock coming back here. I'm like, everyone's so loud. Everyone like is just so like
messy
and like so dirty and disrespectful. I'm like, you cannot have that in Dubai. Like everything is clean. Like
you go to the washroom, you get out, someone's cleaning it. Like that here you only get at like a really high-end restaurant. There it's like you're in the public bathroom and it's like you go to the washroom, they clean it, and then you go in and it's fresh.
Yeah, every time you walk out, there's someone in cleaning it. Just crazy. I think also convenience, like every life is so convenient there that even coming here, there was something that me and my friend needed yesterday. I'm like, we have to walk all the way to the store. Like you were telling me it's not at my doorstep in 15 minutes. Right. What are you saying? So just like convenience. And
it's true. Even when I got my hair done in Dubai, I was like, I have 3 people working on my hair. One person doing the extensions.
And it was probably so cheap too.
Someone doing the extensions, another person blow drying, and the other one kind of holding the clips down. I was like, and it took an hour versus like it would have taken 3 hours here. Like it's just convenient.
It's so convenient.
I know. I can get how that lifestyle can be.
Like services, I just like getting your nails done. Like everything is so much cheaper.
Why? How much are like getting nails done?
No, like actually, so I just got my toes and my nails done for like less than $100 altogether. Wow. There's not really like tipping. Right. Oh, the tipping culture too. That was just such
What's
a
the
shock.
tipping?
There's not a tipping culture.
It's true. I remember that.
I just like
Do you give because you feel bad because you're like used to America, or you got used to it now?
Sometimes, but not really.
So it's kind of like Europe in the sense of like,
it should be like that.
Yeah.
Like just pay your people so we don't have to pay them.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but yeah.
Okay, that's a solid amount of things.
Yeah, it's just a lot, but it's good.
Well, I'm probably going to visit Dubai again.
Yeah, come through.
I wanted to do skydiving when I was there, but my friends didn't want to, so we never did it. So I did like the camels.
You know, you can now jump off of the Burj Khalifa.
No way.
You could skydive off of the Burj Khalifa. It's just, I looked at the video, I was terrified. There's like a plank out to jump from.
Honestly,
would you do that?
See, the thing is I would be so scared, but that's why I would do it. Like, I like to push myself.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, I would probably do it.
If I'm that uncomfortable, if I can get hurt, I'm probably not on board.
So I heard one person told me that like half their face got paralyzed when they jumped in the air, and then I was like, now I got to worry about that. That so was like worries. Fear, and now I have to come on a podcast. What you should know about dating with half my face paralyzed, like
frozen.
Like, girl, shut up, get out of here. I guess my last question for you is, how important is online dating compared to other methods?
I think it's nice to just have it open as a tool to use, but don't rely on the apps. Yeah. I think way too many people rely on it, and then they start to get a scarcity mindset about this is the only thing that's out there. Like I'm screwed. Like I'm never gonna find someone.
Yeah.
When it is filled with so much junk that you have to sift through, and it makes you a bit jaded on just dating in general. So I think if you're only relying on the apps, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like you have to put yourself out there.
I agree.
Your person's going to come one way or the other. Maybe it's on the apps, maybe it's not. I'm not dissing the apps at all, but I think, you know, if you only rely on that, it's just going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And your perspective of dating is going to shift.
Right. Gabby, it was so nice having you on. This is so fun.
Yeah, I know. Can you come to Dubai?
No, literally.
Habibi, come to Dubai.
I love how, like, I went to Dubai and I was like,
when did you go?
Like, a year ago for my birthday, actually, in January. Okay. And I was like, I can actually see myself here. I did a whole episode how I'm like, I'm moving to Dubai.
I'm a Dubai girl now.
I, like, met a guy there at the time. I was like, wait, I actually like him. And then, I just got back to reality and I was like, this is way too far from my family. Like, this is just, like... It's not realistic for like me and like what
you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was so nice having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, of course. What a full circle moment.
I know, like actually so wild.
What the hell? Do you want to plug yourself?
Oh yeah. Okay. So podcast is Way Too Wifey, at Respectfully Gabby for Instagram, TikTok, all of that. And yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.